But even with that growing hope for what's next for the Lower Hill, Peterson hopes his art will continue to remind people of the Lower Hill's past and its destruction. Not only are some of the biggest pumpkins in North America here, but some of the best pumpkin carvers in the world. This guy behind me is a multi-time world champion in pumpkin carving. Since this neighborhood was decimated, there's been a lot of pent-up frustration and, quite frankly, anger from the community, hoping that this land will be used to meet their own needs. Between President Trump's rhetoric, the ICE operations in Minnesota reportedly targeting Somali immigrants, calls from President Trump to revoke the temporary protected status of Somali immigrants, and calls to re-examine the green cards of Somalis already here in the US, the Somali population is under a lot of scrutiny. Remember, there's only a new landside terminal, so where you're actually catching your flights is still the same. And this will probably look a little familiar. They're doing some work here to polish it up a little bit. $2.8 million. That's how much money Northwestern's Associated Student Government controls on a yearly basis. These are the seeds that they have for harvest for next year, a whole bunch of them. And you can also see just how many of these plants are here behind me, a lot of them native to Africa. It's kind of hard to believe just by looking at all these empty parking spaces, but there used to be 80 city blocks, 400 businesses, and around 8,000 residents that lived here. They'll even be talking to NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell for our primetime coverage. So set your alarms, 7 p.m. right here on WTAE Channel 4. Tune in, we'll see you then.
Somali people are not garbage. They are thriving people. They went through a lot. They survived a war, and they still moving forward. That's Always Somalia. He's the president and founder of the Somali Bantu Community Association of Pittsburgh, and he's responding to President Trump's comments from Tuesday about Somali people living in the U.S.
And the Somalians should be out of here. They've destroyed our country.
Between President Trump's rhetoric, the ICE operations in Minnesota reportedly targeting Somali immigrants, calls from President Trump to revoke the temporary protected status of Somali immigrants, and calls to re-examine the green cards of Somalis already here in the US, the Somali population is under a lot of scrutiny right now. Now, there are around 800 to 1,000 Somali people living right here in Pittsburgh. That's according to Somalia. And they actually run a community garden up on the north side. So I went to that community garden to speak to some Pittsburgh Somalis about what they think of all this. Nice to meet you, Abdul-Qadir. Appreciate it.
In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, we don't believe what our president said, because we do have elders who are really volunteering the last 7 years at this community farm, where they grow and harvest and give it away to the surrounding neighbors. Produce, as you can see.
I'm standing at the greenhouse at the Monacucha Community Farm here on the north side. You can see these are the seeds that they have for harvest for next year, a whole bunch of them. And you can also see just how many of these plants are here behind me, a lot of them native to Africa. But this greenhouse and this garden is about a whole lot more than just the plants themselves. It's a place for the Somali community in Pittsburgh to come together, share stories, share their language, share their history, and keep their culture alive, even though they're far away from their original homeland.
And then when we harvest, the food also brings the surrounding community together. Not only just as the Somali, but also as neighbors.
But even with how established Somalis have made themselves here in Pittsburgh, as you saw with their work with that community garden where they give the food they grow to their neighbors, Malia says Pittsburgh Somalis feel targeted and scared right now because of the Trump administration, even those trying to go through the proper legal channels to become a U.S. citizen.
People are afraid even to really apply and go to an ICE office to get like their green card. Those are the fears that the community lived and they are living and they can't talk about right now. And the tension in the community is so high, and even with those with U.S. citizens.
We're going to be open soon.
I'm standing in the brand new terminal for the Pittsburgh International Airport. Look how cool it looks. And I'll show you around a little bit here. Behind me, this is the ticketing area. So where you'll drop your bags and everything like that. All the airlines have their different spots. And then, of course, you got to go through security at the airport. No one likes doing it. But the idea is that here it's going to be a little bit easier, a little bit more streamlined than the previous airport.
You got three separate lanes, okay?
I mean, you can just see the difference in the amount of space that they have for security here versus what they had at the old terminal.
So what we've done here is we've simulated a peak hour experience. Like this is, you know, at a very, very busy time, this is how many people would be coming through. The lines at TSA weren't too long, right? And it moved quickly, and having all of those brand new machines running in a row in one place makes it a lot easier.
Just after security, you head down this tunnel here, and then all of a sudden you're in the old airside terminal. Remember, there's only a new landside terminal, so where you're actually catching your flights is still the same. And this will probably look a little familiar. They're doing some work here to polish it up a little bit. But again, this is the same airside terminal where you catch your airplane. And now I'm standing on the baggage claim level right below the security level that we were on when you enter the new terminal. So reviews for the new terminal seem to overall be pretty positive. People think it's more beautiful, more efficient than the old airport. Now it's just a matter of waiting until this new airport actually opens, and officials are still hoping that'll be sometime this fall.
A lot of people are excited about this, but we have to make sure it works for everybody. So we're going to go through that feedback. We're going to figure out what we can fix, what we need to fix before we open, and then we'll announce a date.
And the plan is still for now the fall.
Oh yeah, no, we're going to be open soon.
You can look back and see the bulldozers, the dust.
From the roof of this house, shown here in his drawing, artist Carlos F. Peterson watched his neighborhood get demolished.
I remember walking from Lexi School back home, and the dust on walking through my doorway was thick, powdery, like baby powder.
Peterson is one of the 8,000 Lower Hill District residents whose homes were destroyed in the 1950s to make room for the Civic Arena, the former home of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now he makes art like this to illustrate the pain that brought to his community.
You could call it a curse. They have to be able to put that stuff down on paper. You're not just drawing it to make a pretty picture. You're drawing from memory, you're drawing from experience, you're drawing from whatever hurt and pain there was, even what joy there was.
As you probably know, the so-called igloo has been gone for years now, and the Pittsburgh Penguins promised for decades to right some wrongs of the past with new developments on the Lower Hill site, most of which never ended up happening. The Pens say they're proud of the work that they did finish on the Lower Hill site, like the First National Bank building, but there's still the question of why more wasn't accomplished. Well, I asked Councilman Daniel Lavelle, who represents the Hill District, and he says a lot of it has to do with all of these parking lots.
Why do you think the Penguins did so little when they had so much time?
If they did nothing, they still made millions by just collecting parking revenue.
Now, the Penguins have let their development rights for the Lower Hill expire, bringing in a new era of potential change. And Councilman Lavelle is really optimistic about what this could mean for his community.
We certainly can do as much as possible to ensure that whatever development occurs in a way that is equitable, occurs in a way that is beneficial to Hill District residents, to the African American community, and to the city at large.
Lavelle expects work to start within just 2 years, but even with that growing hope for what's next for the Lower Hill, Peterson hopes his art will continue to remind people of the Lower Hill's past and its destruction.
And when people look back to see what I did, I'm hoping that they would see that there was people with feelings lived there. I mean, that's what I want people to understand. It's for them to see.